Oh yeah, this is Matt O'Leary, and you guessed it, it's a review of the new Vulfpeck album, Mr. Finish Line. The phonetic spelling of the German pronunciation of Wolfpack. And if you haven't caught on to the sensation quite yet, it's your time. Vulfpeck's a group of uniquely talented dudes from the University of Michigan, and what the band really is a parody act of 60s and 70s funk studio bands. Bandleader Jack Stratton's typically clad in these long red striped socks and these little white soccer shorts, and he really determines the band's artistic trajectory. As a band, they've managed to go from recording their friend's thesis project on tape to garnering this massive following. You can hardly call it a cult following just because of its size. I think that's due to a couple key factors. First off, all these guys are insanely talented musicians with technical mastery of their respective instruments. That's really the big thing, is every single one of these guys, they're smart dudes. There are no slouches here. Second, and maybe most important to their overall success, their brand is amazingly potent. Yeah, it's a totally strange concept, but it's all packaged and aestheticized in such a recognizably goofy and ridiculous way. I think that is the secret to Vulfpeck. It's that hybrid of silly and studious, and no one does it better than this band. So you can expect culturally relevant stuff with style and feel and groove, stuff you'd be proud to put on at a party, but also some sophisticated harmony and nuanced progressive playing and polished performances. Mwah! Top those ingredients off with someone who knows how to run the socials with strategy and creativity. You got yourself a touring band right there. Got to know those Facebook algorithms. Mr. Finish Line is their third studio album after 4 EPs that they started with. I actually have them all on this collection on vinyl right here. I think the formula is pretty similar to when they started. It's about 3 to 5 takes in the studio, and then I've heard they usually go with the first or second take. Like, come on, really? Mr. Finish Line continues with this Go Sports gag, with a lot of the material focusing on the trivialities of the beautiful game. You know, football, soccer, golf, baseball, whatever. I mean, it's all for the love of sports. With a Z, of course. And speaking of the beautiful game, that was the title of their last album, and definitely my favorite within the Vulf discography. I just don't find myself skipping any tracks on that one. Like Animal Spirits, that's my jam. That song's got that all-killer, no-filler feel that reminds me of like a Jackson 5 song. You know, one of those just unquestionably sweet and tasty pop songs. This one starts off a lot more subtle than that one did, with Birds of a Feather, We Rock Together. It's good old reliable Antoine Stanley on the soulful vocals right from the start. This one, the arrangement, the instrumentation is just bare necessities, like that's it. And it's that simplicity that usually makes their music so accessible, so catchy, but I can't help feeling like there's just not much to this song. It's got that really cheery, storybook-esque whistle melody that's I think doubled and then panned really hard, and there might even be like a little bit of a whispery track to kind of even out and balance the piercing quality of the whistle. It's so repetitive and so simple that it's almost immediately hummable, but I feel like there's just not a lot of dynamic, not a lot of build. Woody Goss gets off to a fabulous start on the keys though. This guy's the star of this album, I think. I love those sparkly little Rhodes harmonies around the 3-minute mark. Baby I Don't Know, Oh is a similarly sparse and playful track. I feel like it's got a really strong chord progression and this slithery sax solo. I'm not crazy about it. I think I've nailed down this common denominator of all these Vulfpeck songs I just kind of feel meh about. And I know it's going to sound like heresy, but I think it's Antoine's voice. I mean, listen, it's objectively great. Like, this guy's got power, he's got maneuverability. I don't know, it just gets old for me. He kind of sounds like a character you'd hear at like the children's theater or something, and maybe it's that kitschiness that just gets a little stale. You can imagine then that Christine Hucall and Theo Katzman's voices on this title track hit like a breath of fresh air. It's like, ah, yeah, that's the Vulf I'm looking for. I love that little vocal snippet they throw in with the English football announcer, and he's taking us up the pitch, and it's with Stratton, the keeper, and he passes to Katzman, the sweeper, and it's up to Goss and Dart, who I'd think would maybe be in like the number 10 Messi position, the attacking midfielder. And Stanley finishes with the goal. The crowd goes crazy. Not my first choice in striker, but you know. The song Tea Time's really the Dean Town of this album. What I mean by that is it's this really progressive musical moment that chooses to spotlight one soloist. Instead of Joe Dart's bass, this time it's Woody Goss with this amazing pendulum back and forth effect on the electric pianos. It just hammers you, and there's this lightning fast disco beat behind it. It's impressive stuff. While the song Hero Time, which is another instrumental track, plods along at a much slower pace, showcasing these just reverberating drums. Like the snare just really booms, and then we got these 90s sitcom-esque brass and synth melodies. It's got that classic 2-5-1 chordal structure, that being the intervals that it's jumping to. Just makes you feel like you're walking home on a bright sunny afternoon, you're saying hi to some neighbors, you're feeling oh so good. I think the track that ends up really stealing the show for me is Running Away, with the incomparably soulful voice of Joey Dosick. It's probably the most serious song on the album, which I actually really appreciate in the midst of all this wackiness. Joey's pristine performance is backed up by these Steely Dan, Peg-esque, kind of Polynesian guitar flourishes. It's very Michael McDonald, very 70s AM gold kind of stuff, you know, yacht rock. It's definitely the highlight for me. I can't help but feel like the goofiness got the best of Vulf on Mr. Finish Line, just a little bit. Like songs like Business Casual and Captain Hook, they're so incredibly goofy, they almost qualify as like creative kid stuff soundtrack fare. It's fun, I guess, like once. The balance between studiousness and silliness that I mentioned before just falls a little bit too much toward the latter. And songs like Vulfpeck and Tea Time aren't quite as effective as instrumental tracks of the past, like Smile Meditation and El Chepe, at really giving you a break from the relentless buffoonery. And I do understand this game they're trying to play, this gag they're trying to pull. And you know, I can't deny it's working for them. I just can't help but feel like they're sacrificing a bit of their potential as a group of outstanding musicians in the name of parody. And I will, you know, throw this one on with some friends over in a public setting. I'm just not going to listen intently alone. So it's a 6 out of 10 for me, a decent addition to the Vulf discography. Definitely a treading water sort of album instead of a real progression. But I'm definitely interested in what you think of it, so let me know, and thank you so much for watching.